Good morning, friends. We had left a couple of topics in third module, that is relaying algorithm, that is third unit. So let us see those topics now, because those are there in the question bank. Okay, so I just don't want to delay it. Okay, and in fact I had left this topic on your own to study the problem, but since it's there in the question bank, I'm trying to cover it right now. Okay, so this is a topic of third module in relaying algorithm. So we have already seen this differential equation algorithm. Okay, I'm not going to repeat this, but there is a concept or assumption what we made here, and we want to prove whether that assumption is right or not. Okay, we'll see a problem. Okay, we'll see a numericals where we'll try to justify that whatever assumption we are made, it is true. So what we have assumed is the fault resistance is 0. Main importantly, we have ignored the shunt capacitance. So whatever the shunt capacitance here, that is line charge due to Ferranti effect, right? What is Ferranti effect, you know? Yes. So there is a line charge here. Because of that, there is a capacitance built up between the line and the ground. Okay, that we have ignored here. Whether does it make any difference of ignoring it, or it doesn't make any difference? Okay, we'll have to see through a problem. Okay, that is the objective of the problem, or the numerical what we are going to see now. So justification of lumped series RL model. So what we have taken is, it is a lumped, means resistance and inductance is not distributed. We have taken it at a particular place in a circuit, and it is only a series model, only. Okay, only a series model, that is there is no shunt capacitance element in that. So we'll try to see how far we have justified in representing the transmission as lumped series RL circuit. And for that we'll consider shunt elements along with series, and we'll see whether does it make any difference. We'll calculate only series, we'll calculate shunt. Okay, that is combined shunt and series. Then we'll compare only with series and combined shunt and series. Okay, so for that we have taken a transmission line, some parameters. Okay, there are different cases for 230 kV, for 345 kV, 500 kV, 765, and so on. So in out of these three cases, we are considering this case. Okay, this problem, we have taken this data. I mean, the textbook, the author has taken this data. Okay, and in your question bank the same problem exists. I think you have already solved this in your IA, but nevertheless we'll see it. Now for this voltage, we have resistance per kilometer. This is per kilometer, remember. Okay, this is reactance per kilometer. This is the ratio, X by R ratio, and this is the angle, tan inverse of imaginary part by real part, and this is the susceptance. What is susceptance, we'll see, and this is the ZC. Okay, so we'll use these data. Okay, we'll use this data. So what is susceptance is, okay, see, we have terms like Z is equal to R plus JX. Okay, you know it. Similarly, we have Y is equal to G plus JB. You know it, correct? Inverse of resistance is conductance, and inverse of reactance is susceptance. Okay, so what is susceptance now? Inverse of reactance. Inverse of reactance. Now, since this is a capacitive line, okay, susceptance is related to capacitance. Okay, so yes, here you take inductance, here we take the major component as susceptance. Okay, so what is 1 by XC? XC is 1 by 2 pi f c. Yes, XC is 1 by 2 pi f c. So B becomes, B here is nothing but S. The author has taken the notation of B as S. Okay, so it becomes 2 pi fc. Is that clear, this formula? So this is how it has come. So everything is known, susceptance is given, okay. So you calculate the capacitance, only unknown is this, okay. In this equation S is given, so S is this much, okay, 4.518 into 10 power micro, this is micro, 10 power minus 6 Siemens per kilometer. So susceptance unit is Siemens, okay. So only unknown is C, that is kept one side, the other things on the right hand side, and you get 0.011 microfarad, and it is per kilometer, correct. And we have taken a length of 100 kilometer. We have taken a problem for problem for 100 kilometer, okay. So into 100 if you do, you'll get 1.2 microfarad. So this into 100 is 1.2 microfarad. So this is our total C now, correct, total capacitance. Now we want to know what is the S shunt reactance XC. 1 by XC formula is 1 by J omega C. So it is 1 by 2 pi J omega C, correct. 2 pi is missing here. So everything is known here, so you substitute, you'll get this answer, okay. Minus, because J is in denominator, if it comes in numerator it becomes minus J. Yes. So problem is simple actually, but the data will be given. You will have to know the flow, okay, know the flow. Yes. So this is the Z shunt. So that Z shunt is this. Now what is there in series? R plus Jx. So R is there, X is there. So R is 0.37 into 100 into 100 is because it is for 100 kilometer. So it becomes 3.7, and 0.367 into 100 is 36.7. Yes. So this is R plus Jx. So this is series element and this is shunt element, and this is the fault we have considered. Yes. This is the diagram from here, okay. We are justifying whatever we have taken this algorithm, okay. We started this algorithm assuming these two quantities, correct. We are neglecting the shunt capacitance because it can be ignored. It is so negligible that it can be ignored. So we are trying to justify whether can we ignore it or not, okay. So we have considered this. So only this will see what is total impedance, and combination of these two will see the impedance. So only Z series, what is the impedance, okay. Yes, magnitude, we calculate magnitude like this only, right. Yes, we know how to calculate the magnitude of this. So we have calculated, and Z shunt magnitude is, because it is having only one term, its magnitude is, okay, 22.10, that is, sorry, 2210.48 is the value, okay. We don't need any ratio here, okay. Now we have pi model, okay. This is lumped only at sending end. This example, or this is an example of, or a circuit of shunt capacitance lumped at sending end. Here it is distributed both at sending end and receiving end. Fault may have occurred at any place, maybe at the midpoint or at receiving end or sending end, okay. Here they have considered at some point. Considering that, we assume that the capacitance is distributed throughout, and we have distributed or lumped instead of distributed, we have lumped it at sending end and receiving end. And we know that this is a parallel, okay. Capacitance in parallel adds, okay, fine. So this is pi model. Yes, this is a lumped at series model, okay. So capacity lumped at sending end, the earlier one. This is half capacitance lumped at each end, so here and here, okay. Fine. Since the capacitance are in parallel, okay, capacitance in parallel actually add, you know it, right. Resistance in series add, capacitance in parallel add, Okay, resistance in parallel divide, capacitance in series divide, you know it, right? So for 100 kilometer and 345 kV line model, okay, what if we consider only series lumped? There are three cases. Okay, series lumped model, only series. Now capacitance at sending end and capacitance in pi model. So XL is this, R is this, and Z is this. We have seen the magnitude. So it is in rectangular form. You can use the calculator and convert it into polar form. You'll get it this. You'll get this value. Now what if we consider the shunt capacitance also, shunt element, which is we have assumed that it is only at the sending end. In that case, only this value is there because it is only at the sending end. Okay, see here, this circuit. We considering that, okay, these two are parallel. Okay, it becomes parallel because this is a short fault, this is short, so this element is in parallel with this element. Okay, so since they are parallel, you can have this parallel formula and you will get some value, correct? It is simplified. Once we simplify it, it is converted to again polar form as you did it here. Once you get it in polar form, okay, we have got something. We want to compare it with this. So once you want to compare it with this, you will take a percentage difference. So you will understand that the percentage difference is only 1.66%. Means this is more, since it is in negative side. Okay, negative term is associated with it and it is more, you are getting in negative. Just like you calculate the regulation, percentage regulation, the same formula. Okay, similar to that, it's not that actually. Now similarly pi model, taking this, since as I said, since they are in parallel, they add. Okay, and this whole combination is in parallel with this. Okay, this is series element, these two are parallel elements. So since they are in parallel, you apply the formula, parallel formula, R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So you will get this. Again you convert it to polar form, you will get this. Again with respect to this, you take the difference percentage and you will get only less than 1%. So what is the inference? Okay, what is the conclusion? What is the moral of the story is that you have slight variation. Even if you don't consider this, that is okay. If you don't consider this shunt capacitor, that is still fine because you are getting almost the same answer. So hence whatever the assumption was made to neglect this capacitance is good enough. Okay, will not make any difference. So that is the objective of this problem. We have one more topic left out. Okay, let me go to that. That is Sachdev method. That is calculating the error using Sachdev method. And let me go to the topic and come to the background. That is LSQ algorithm by Sachdev method. This is also a simple topic. Maybe you may feel a bit lengthy, but it is simple. Okay, again since this is an algorithm, you will have to revise it 2 to 3 times. Okay, you will have to remember the steps, but we will try to understand what is the concept here. So least square algorithm, what is least square? First we will try to understand. Okay, for that this is the prerequisite. Of course this is not there in syllabus. Okay, this LSQ technique is not there in the syllabus. We directly have seen in the syllabus LSQ technique by Sachdev method. We will see that, but before that, what is LSQ technique, we will try to understand. Now LSQ technique is, see, whatever you do the measurement, see, before applying the algorithm, you actually measure some quantities, right? Voltage, current. Yes, we have seen I1 of k or I of k1, I of k2. Yes, something like that you already have seen in the algorithms. Voltage and current are the measurement. Current is measured from the CT and voltage is measured from the PT, correct? So whatever you measure, you always know that there will be error. You cannot have a perfect measurement. Okay, and Rabindranath Tagore tells that, okay, if you shut down on error, truth also will be shut out. Means, okay, if you shut the door of error, truth will also be shut out. It means you cannot run away from the error. Errors are always there. Okay, if you try to shut down the error or shut out the error, it means you are going away from the reality. We have to live with errors. Okay, yes, and we'll have to calculate the error. Fortunately, we can do that. We can calculate the error because we know the actual statistical nature of the error. Okay, for example, let us take an example and then we'll understand what it is. So you are doing some measurement, something. Okay, in an experiment you have measured something. You got x value as 2 and you got x value as 3. You have taken two measurements. Once when you take for the first time you got it 2, for the second time you got it 3. Now you realize that there is an error because 2 is also not true, 3 is also not true. Correct? Any one of them is correct, but what you do is you take average of that, so that, okay, it might be somewhere near 2.5. For example, next time when you take x as somewhere between 2.7 or 2.8, something like that, you will realize that actual x value is between these two. So to realize that they have taken only 2 samples, it means what? X is not only 2, it is having some error, and x is not only 3, it is also having some error. Okay, so what we do is we take an average of this 2 plus 3, the total number of samples is 2, so it is 2.5. We know it, correct? So since we know the nature of error, we can calculate it. That is the advantage. That is the only method that we can tackle, or we can find the error. Now in LSQ method, what it tells is you have to take the sum of squares of error. Sum of the squares of the error. So you know what is error? E1 is x minus 2, E2 is x minus 2, x minus 3. Okay, so sum of squares of error. Okay, you square this and you take the sum. So you do this. While doing this, you have to take care of two conditions. Two conditions are to be met. What are those two conditions? If you differentiate this once and equate it to 0, you have to do it. You will get some value. That value is true. See, first condition is you have to differentiate and equate it to 0. Once you do that, you will get some value. That value is true only when second condition is met. What is second condition? You differentiate once again, and whatever you differentiate for the second time, if you get a value positive, then whatever the value you have got it in the first condition is true. For example, okay, we'll take this, you differentiate this, correct, and equate it to 0, and double differentiate it, and it should be greater than 0, that is, it should be positive. So once first time when you differentiate this, okay, differentiation of x minus 2 whole square plus x minus 3 whole square, so 2 times x minus 2 plus 2 times x minus 3 equated to 0. Okay, so 2x minus 4 plus 2x minus 6 equated to 0, you will get this. Now from here you know simple mathematical calculation, you will get x equal to 2.5, which was our average method. Okay, it is same as that method. So average method and SSE method both are same. Sum of squares of error, both methods are same. Okay, answer we have got the same. So this is LSQ method. So what is LSQ method? You should know first errors, you should have equations, and sum of squares of errors you have to do, and you have to equate it to 0, that is differentiation of SSE. Okay, differentiation of SSE, equating it to 0, you will get some value. That value is true only when second case is met. What is second case? Double differentiate and equate it to, when you double differentiate it, it should be positive. So 4x equal to 10, x equal to 10 by 4. and x equal to 5 by 2, which is 2.5. This is true only when second condition is met. When you double differentiate it, okay, so already once you have differentiated, right, you have got 4x minus 10. Now if you differentiate this, obviously you will get 4 because x is associated with 4. This is a constant, differentiation of a constant is a 0, so you get 4. 4 is what? It is obviously greater than 0, which is positive. So it means whatever x value you have got earlier here in this case is true. So this is LSQ method. Okay, hope you have got it. Now let us come to this method. See, this LSQ method by Sachdev, okay, is called as curve fitting method. Curve fitting method. See, this is the actual waveform you want to measure. Okay, actual waveform, you know the nature of waveform. Okay, erroneous waveform. Okay, so you know it and you have taken a part of it. You want actually value to be measured is small y naught, but you have measured capital Y naught, so there is some deviation. You wanted y1 at x1. So this is a function of x, y is a function of x. Okay, x is an independent variable. Fine. So at different values of x, it might be time, x might be time or something else. Okay, generally time most of the time. Okay, so whenever you measure at that time, you should have got small y naught, you have got y naught, so there is an error. Similarly, this is the measured value, dark spot is the measured value, and this is whole, these are actual values or true values, actual values. So dark is the measured one. So you try to fit it in the curve. So how do you do it? It is E1 is equal to y naught minus small y naught minus capital Y naught. E1 is small y1 minus capital Y1, and so on. Yes, that is the error, right? Error is what? Difference of these two. That's what we have taken here in the earlier case. Error is what? Error is difference of actual minus measured. Actual minus measured is error. Okay, the same concept we have applied here. Now again, SSE, what is SSE? Sum of squares of errors. We have different errors, we have taken squares and taking sum of it. Now nature of the waveform, needed waveform, we know it. That is the key here. What is the waveform? Waveform will have some DC offset, DC component. See, any waveform will have DC offset. This is the DC offset. Okay, yes, it will have some DC component in it. Next, it will have fundamental component and it will have odd harmonics. They have taken up to only 2 because as you go on further for 7th, 9th, 11th harmonics, their magnitude are less compared to 3rd and 5th harmonic. So 3rd and 5th harmonic are predominant, so that's why they have taken 3rd and 5th harmonic. So what is the current measurement? Current is I sin omega. This is a magnitude, that is this is the value, peak value, and this is sinusoidal waveform in nature. See, current we are measuring, current is a sinusoidal waveform what we are trying to measure, but it is not only having fundamental, okay, omega naught into t plus theta, okay, actually sin omega t, but it is shifted with respect to some reference. It is not only having fundamental, it is having 3rd harmonic as well as 5th harmonic, okay, and it is having a DC offset. DC offset is a decaying DC offset. So that's why decaying quantity, this is a constant, and this is exponentially decaying waveform. This you might have learned in DSP or signals. In signals you have already learned this exponentially decaying DC offset. So these are the terms, and we neglect this term is because, okay, again this is more predominant than this. We will take up to only 3rd harmonic because this is an analysis. Later you can consider it, but for analysis to have less equations, we will neglect this because they are almost of same nature. Okay, so we will try to reduce the number of terms in an equation so that we can actually come to some conclusion. Now this is e power x. Okay, this term we are trying to deal with first. This is e power x, so you can see fifth harmonic is not there. So this is e power x. E power x is given by Taylor's series expansion. Taylor series expansion tells that 1 plus x square by 2 factorial plus x cube by 3 factorial and so on. Okay, so what is, if it is e power 0, e power 0 is 1, so 1 into I naught is I naught, that is this first term. Next term, okay, what is x? What is x here? Minus t by tau. See, e power x, so this is x. If this is x, so what is x here? X is minus t by tau. X is minus t by tau. And of course, I naught is a constant, multiplication multiplied for all the terms. It is I naught is a constant or a multiplier. You can call it as a gain. Okay. Now you got second term and you got third term. X square is what? Minus square is plus, so it is t square by tau square. So t is actual variable, tau is intermediate variable. You might have already learnt in convolution, in signals and systems convolution, you take an intermediate variable tau. It is also time only, but it is an intermediate variable. In convolution you have got it, right? You have done this in signals. So tau is that. Okay, hope you understood what is tau. Now so we have replaced these terms. Again we have not considered the further terms, is because 3 factorial is increasing the denominator, and of course 4 factorial, 5 factorial, they all increase the denominator. As denominator increases, the whole value decreases, so it can be neglected. So again the only first 3 terms they have taken. Further terms are there, it's not that they are not there. For mathematical analysis we are neglecting it because their value or magnitude is less when compared to these first 3 terms. So that is substitute here. Now this is sin a plus b formula. Okay, sin a plus b, this is written as it is, whatever is here. Now sin a plus b formula is sin a into cos b, correct, and next is cos a into sin b. That formula is written for first fundamental and third harmonic. Okay, hope this equation is also clear to you. Just they have substituted the formula of sin a plus b for both the terms. Now these 3 terms as it is. Okay, what they have rearranged is theta terms they have written first. Here theta term was second. Why? Because okay, those are unknowns. Theta 1 you have not yet calculated. See, omega naught is a fundamental frequency, you know it. Time at which the sample is taken also you know it. So sin omega naught t, cos omega naught t, you know it. It can be mathematically calculated. So they have kept it in the second term. So theta 1 term they are first kept in the first place in each term. So this as it is. Next, again this t by tau term, it is tau is an intermediate variable, so again they have kept it at last, and this is a constant is kept first, then these terms as it is. Rest of the terms, these terms are written as it is. These 2 are shifted at last. Fine. Next, now what we do is, instead of I, we will consider it as a sample. See, whatever I or voltage or anything, we consider it as a sample. So it is simply written, I is replaced with S. That's it. Everything else is same. So whatever is written here is same here. Only change is I is replaced with S. Now, if we see, there are 7 unknown terms. This is unknown 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct? and of course this is t, it is a misprint. Okay, here it is t and here also it is t, denominator is tau. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so there are 7 unknown terms. To calculate 7 unknown terms we should have 7 equations. So 7 equations to solve 7 unknowns. So how to get 7 equations? At t1 time 1 equation, at t2 time second equation, at t3 time third equation, and so on. So up to 7 we have done it. So 7 unknowns, to solve 7 unknowns we should have a 7 equations, that's why 7 equations are generated. Now what is known here? A11 is 1. Okay, 1 is known in all the term, I mean it's a constant of course, that is called as A11. This is A12, this is A22, this is A72, okay, and so on. So these terms are known. So in first case A12 is known, A13 is known, A14, A15, okay, A16 is this, and A17 is this. So only variables are this is known, t is known, I0 is also unknown. So I0 is unknown, that's why it is kept in the 6th and 7th term. Okay, so these are knowns: sin omega t1, cos omega t1, sin 3 omega naught t1, cos 3 omega naught t1, t1, t1 square. These are knowns. What are unknowns is the bold terms, the bold highlighted terms are the unknowns. So in first equation there are 7 unknowns. These are the 7 unknowns. Now IM1 can be calculated, and similarly IM3 can be calculated from this. Okay, IM1 can be calculated from this equation. How? Simply square. If you square, x2 square is equal to IM square cos square theta 1. x3 square, you simply square and add IM1 square sin square theta 1. Correct? If you square this, IM1 square sin square theta 1. So add this. If you add this, sin square plus cos square is 1. If you add both the equation, it becomes IM1 square is the common, okay, common term, and cos square plus sin square is 1, and this is x2 square plus x3 square. Now you want IM1 square, okay, you have IM1 square, but you want IM1, take root of this, x2 square plus x3 square. So that is, we have got this. Once you get that, similarly on the same basis IM3 can be calculated. Okay, IM3 can be calculated. Got it? Now similarly angle of these two terms, that is theta 1, on the same lines as you calculated IM1 was common, theta 1 is also common, and you can calculate it, that is tan inverse of imaginary part by real part. Which is imaginary part here? Sine is an imaginary part. Okay, why sine is an imaginary part? You know this, real component is cos, opposite component is sine, so it is always associated with the j term. So sine is an imaginary part, so angle is always tan inverse of imaginary part by real part, and you get it. Similarly for theta 3 you get this. So these are the phase and amplitude terms could be calculated using this. The other terms, how to calculate, we'll place this in the matrix form. So a11 x1, a12 x2, so x1 x2 x3 these are unknowns, a11 a12 a13 they are knowns. Okay, in each equations a terms are known, in each equations x terms are unknown. So you put it in a matrix form. This is the sample, this is A matrix, and this is unknowns. And if you write up to here, so this is the simplified form. In simplicity, in a single equation, we can write the above matrix equation in this form. So x is unknown. How to calculate x? You bring, or you send the A term other side, it becomes A inverse, and this is the final. This is how you actually did it in your the previous algorithm, right? Which was that algorithm? Okay, just now we saw it, right? That is yes, tell me. Differential equation algorithm, right? Using not numerical integration. Yes, this is the same matrix method, correct? The same way how you calculated unknowns, okay, you will calculate these things. Okay, yes, so this is how you calculate. So if you write up to here, that's fine. You don't have to write this, because to write this you should have learnt the previous topics. Previous topics are not there in syllabus. So if you write up to here, that's enough. So I'll quickly revise this. We started with the assumption that we know the type of the waveform. So we used curve fitting. Curve fitting technique is nothing but Sachdev method for LSQ. We know what is LSQ. Okay, how to find LSQ? It is sum of squares of errors. And we know that in an erroneous signal we have fundamental DC offset, that which is decaying, and next is we have fundamental component, and we have third harmonic. Of course, fifth harmonic we have neglected it. So DC component decaying is taken care by Taylor series. It is expanded using the Taylor series, and we have taken only first three terms. Okay, we have substituted, and this is sin A plus B formula. This is also sin A plus B formula. It is expanded, and we have taken it as sample. Okay, and we have taken 7 such equations, and in each equation the amplitude and phase can be calculated using this formula, and this is put up in matrix form. That's it. So these are the two topics which we had left in third unit, that is okay, relaying algorithms. So we have completed all the topics which was there in the syllabus, and since one of this the problem was there, of course Sachdev method is not there in the question bank, but since it was there in the syllabus, I did it, and the problem is there in the question bank. So please go through it. Hope you have understood. Anything you have not understood, please comment on this video, or you can comment in Google Classroom. That's it. In next class we'll continue with our previous topic, that is we were seeing distance relay, that is transmission line protection using distance relay. We'll continue with that. Thank you.